Welcome to Women Disrupting Tech. My name is Dirk-Jan Upkes, and on this podcast I give the women who work in tech the platform they need to inspire and empower each other. Join me on a journey into the world of entrepreneurship, funding, biases and role models to discover the strategies for success in the tech industry. In other words, how women can disrupt tech. Are you ready to listen? Hey, welcome back to Women Disrupting Tech, and thank you for tuning in to episode 129. Most founders I speak to didn't get to where they are by climbing the ladder step by step or by following a standard path to becoming a founder. Instead, they got there by following their curiosity, by taking the long road, and by choosing experiences that maybe didn't make sense at the time but ended up shaping everything they built later. My guest today is Gina Schinkel, and she's a perfect example of that. She lived and worked all over the world, from the Caribbean to Australia and New Zealand, where she worked in the travel industry, to Dublin, where she worked for LinkedIn. And instead of choosing between tech and travel, she found a way to combine them into something meaningful. Out of that came Driftawave and Leaderwave, two ventures built around the same simple idea. When people gather in the right environment, they connect differently, they think differently, and they work differently. In this episode, we explore how Gina takes Workations from being a nice perk to a tool that helps companies attract and retain the right people, how taking a go-giver approach helps her open doors, and why you don't always need to choose a single path to build something that lasts. Plus, you'll hear how she experiments with new tools and pushes herself into new territory just to see what's possible. So, when you're ready to listen and learn about the power of workations and generous leadership, please welcome to Women Disrupting Tech, Gina Schinkel. Before we start, I want to highlight an event that Embrace Health organizes in the evening of 3 December 2025 at Equals in Amsterdam, titled Understanding Women's Health. As you know, I'm really passionate about the need for everyone, women and men, to learn more about how women's health works and how it is different from the health of men. Visiting this event will therefore help both men and women better understand women's health and how it impacts energy, mood, productivity, and overall well being at every stage of life. For more information and for tickets, please check out the link in the show notes under featured events or search for Understanding Women's Health in the Luma app. Hey Gina Schinkel, welcome to Women Disrupting Tech. Good to have you. Question I always ask at the start is how you got into your current job or current position at Driftawave and Leaderwave.
So I've actually defied the traditional career path years ago because my will to explore the world, nature, cultures was bigger than jumping into a career straight away. And then I just kept on finding new adventures, worked across the globe, found a lot of love for my job working as a travel consultant in Australia, moved with the company to New Zealand, and then the world got shut down. Probably the worst timing to be a travel consultant after 2.5 years of not having been at home in the Netherlands. I flew back, and then after a while, I actually ended up working on the yachts, and then via referral, I ended up at LinkedIn. So during that time, the dream to start my own travel company was put on hold. Um, and somehow things miraculously worked out. So I'm actually super happy that I got the opportunity to work at LinkedIn. I think we can all acknowledge how powerful the platform has come today in terms of opportunities. So it's been really special to see that from the inside as well. And definitely up leveled my game there doing tech sales. learning all about company strategies, pretty much like an MBA in a payroll. But the great thing about this was because of obviously the remote boom, all of a sudden we're remote workers. Workations became a reality. And I figured out someone had to go and organize these things so we could do that together. And then obviously also understood that there was an opportunity on the B2B side of things. So yeah, in secret, I started building step by step, from business plan to figuring out where to start, how I can make sure that everything comes together, which was already quite an adventure by itself. Yeah, and then here we are today. I'm officially the founder of a tour operator providing team retreats, workations, and company offsites. And obviously, because I was spending a lot of time in the world of tech, many of my friends work in tech, and during my discovery journey, so to say, when founding Driftawave, I started visiting tech events, and one of them was the Web Summit. And this is where the AI curtain pretty much lifted for me. And around the same time, I also met my mentor, who is super tech AI savvy, and all about exploring what's possible. So I got really inspired by that and figured I would double down on the opportunity that this could offer, especially as a first time founder. Starting a tour operator as a side hustle is quite intense.
Mm-hmm.
The more, the smarter I could work, the better it would be for everybody. And then I got hooked on it, and I love seeing all the new updates, what's possible. And so when I decided to focus on Driftaway 100% and resign from my corporate role, which is quite special, obviously, after all that time. I landed back in the Netherlands and I was kind of surprised that it wasn't a topic that was living so much with everybody. I felt like many people were using it in different ways. And I also realized that I learned so much from the people around me. So then I decided to set up Leaderwave to pretty much share the voices of leaders in AI experiments out there and in the future of work. And at the same time, also connect the talent and leaders so they can actually learn from each other. And it's actually been quite a special journey so far. Already beautiful things have happened because of it. Um, Friendships, business partnerships, direct invite to audition with TEDx, um, and just more magic keeps on happening. I think that's I think that's really special that you start somewhere with an idea or a vision, or actually in both of my cases, I felt like that's something that I maybe saw was missing or something that I would wish that was there.
Mm-hmm.
And then for other people to, yeah, to pretty much fall in love with the idea as well, or wanted to be a part of it, or wanted to support. I think in general, that's a very special process, which I think is a big reward of becoming an entrepreneur, I guess.
It absolutely is. Sounds like it anyway. So there's a couple of questions I have. One is first, you switched from being in a tour operator environment to LinkedIn, and then you switched back. I was wondering, what is the bigger love, tech or the travel?
It's funny you ask. I think actually where I'm positioned now is where all my roads come together because I do love travel, but I'm also a super curious person and I really love what's possible with tech today. This way I can kind of stay connected with both of my roads, so to say. And one thing that I also found is obviously uh, I always felt like I had to choose, right? That's completely changed today. You can now make a career basically from anywhere where there is Wi-Fi. And at the same time, I also experienced that obviously in tech in Dublin, there's many people who are high achievers, very ambitious, going after their goals. And I think it's just such a beautiful thing that they are now also able to take a bit more control of their life and also pursue uh, this part of freedom and exploration that life can offer.
What has been your experience coming back to the Netherlands? Because you then come from Dublin, from let's say an environment that is really tech savvy, high achievers, people going after their goals, and the rise of AI coming in, and then you end up in the Netherlands. And then what? Do you see a sort of synchronized development, or do you see a total difference in how it's perceived and executed?
To be honest, this is a bit of an odd one because for about 14, 15 years I lived across the globe, and it's definitely had a big impact on who I've become. Like, I even noticed today walking in the train, like I was listening to Latin music, and all of a sudden I could already my body movement even starts to change, and um, it's just the small things that become a part of you. But then before the pandemic, I was living in Australia, New Zealand, which is also kind of Western culture, and then I moved to Ireland. So actually, for once again, I was actually pretty close to home, and I was working for the Benelux region. So many of the colleagues on our team were Dutch as well.
Hmm.
Many of my clients were Dutch, but obviously there were people from many, many nationalities. And I think that's what I really, really love about being there because I've always spent so much time in these like tourist places. So I was so surprised that you could also find this in a place uh, where people are like building careers and doing beautiful things.
Yeah.
But then coming back to the Netherlands, I think it's different. I think if I would have moved to Amsterdam, I think you can kind of get that vibe. Obviously, many of my colleagues from LinkedIn have also already moved back to the Netherlands. Um, and I I don't know, I find it a hard question because I have so many friends across the globe that I still touch base with. So
Hmm.
somebody can be in one of my good friends lives in Wales, the other one lives in Australia, the other one is still in Latam. And I do think in general Dutch people are very open. Um, and actually in this point, to be honest, I'm kind of happy that I'm here now. So I can hopefully help out with a bit of positive change in this direction because it is really important. The Netherlands is actually not doing so well at the moment. So I would really love to see Holland taking this new technology to their advantage and really spin out incredible concepts and companies or like try to reinvent the dots. And I must say, I do see positive changes around me. Maybe it's also because, I don't know, maybe it's more people speak more about it. Maybe it's because what I've been searching and the people that I surround myself with, but I do definitely see positive changes. So I think I think that makes me a proud Dutchie, so to say. I'm away a lot, but when I come back, I try to always make the most time of it and reconnect with everybody here.
Cool. Let's talk about Driftaway for a minute. What you do is, these are my words. Let's say organize corporate or offsites and team workations. I just want to understand how can this help companies, especially startups, but also maybe more SME type of companies perform better to have that go away or to have this special retreat. How does it play in, except from a benefits point of view that it's obviously nice to travel?
Obviously, a really special way to get to know other people. I think we can all remember those moments where we did something that was new and the bond that it created with that other person or the other people. So breaking down the silos, um, really opening up your mind um, to new things. It can also be filled in different ways by companies, right? Some companies come together to do like a workshop or a strategic meeting. But for example, let's say if it's a remote or distributed company, maybe they don't see each other that much. So they want to spend a little bit more time on having that actual bonding in place. Um, People can be a little bit more vulnerable. So maybe at times even a little bit more honest, or they were there to ask for advice a little bit quicker. Uh, Obviously, with smaller companies, there's not too much hierarchy in place. It is a tremendous talent magnet. So obviously, people love talking about it. It's really a moment to be lived towards too. And yeah, obviously, you can take that on a spin off for employer branding. Maybe you have seen some Compass on LinkedIn already.
Hmm.
So it can be actually very helpful to attract talent. And also, obviously, setting up a startup is not that easy. It may require a lot from people. So it can also really be a moment of celebration and appreciation. And then as a result, obviously, you can see a lift in engagement, productivity, employee happiness score. Yeah, so there are many different benefits.
Okay. So for the remote and the hybrid teams, it's pretty clear because they don't meet that often. So it's a natural way to pull all the troops together and really connect with each other, have a bit more open and vulnerable conversations. What do you say to founders who are like, no, we want to go, we have this back to the office mandate, and we want to keep it in house. What are they
Mhm.
missing out?
Top talent. Sorry, that was a cheeky
Yeah.
one. It's kind of true. It really depends. Like, I do have respect for people who do want to go to the office. For some people, it works better. For me, I found with my energy levels, I prefer to like have um, proper focus hours when I work remote. But then when I go and meet my colleagues, I mean, we were pretty much hybrid at LinkedIn. um, I make sure that I focus on my colleagues, and it really became a place of meeting and reconnecting. Um, I think companies that do have offices and require their people to come in, you do see the trend of workations develop further. Even especially like in the Netherlands, we actually have a lot of talent that we bring in from abroad as well. I mean,
Huh?
it's quite special that today these people can reunite with their family, right? Because it's quite a thing to move potentially to the other side of the world. Maybe you have 3 weeks holiday per year, luckiest in the Netherlands. And then when are you going to spend it on your holiday? And when are you actually going to spend it to say hi to your friends and family at home? So that's one big thing. But also, people take the time to step out of their daily routine, maybe especially in the Netherlands, like the winter can be very grim. So they'll take off to, let's say, a ski resort or somewhere where it's nice and warm around the same time zone, right? And people really like flourish up. They feel engaged again. They feel more productive. Actually, clients like it as well if you're in a customer facing role. So then again, also there's some companies, they give a certain amount of time to people to actually go somewhere wherever they want to go. There are
Mm,
companies that decide to go all together, even up to 2 times per year, potentially like throughout the year. This is one example. This company, agency, they would incentivize their bonus structure around it as well during the year. So if certain milestones were hit, then this would add up as extras during their vacation abroad. And then they could share that experience together, and it really would lift up their team spirit and team culture. It really helped attracting the right talent as well. So yeah, it's actually being used in very different ways. With Driftawave, I'm really looking at, okay, obviously the amazing locations and activities, but also how can we make sure that the right people are there to find the right value. Um, but also looking at upskilling workations to make sure that people can go somewhere to a different environment and really open up, reconnect, and then have amazing takeaways from them.
Okay. So just out of curiosity, what kind of locations or locations are we talking about? What kind of countries? What are kind of
So,
hotspots?
so practically, the luck is that because we are a tour operator, we can pretty
Hmm.
much organize anything around the world. Um, for example, one we hosted was in Croatia. There's one upcoming in Gran Canaria. And obviously, we're always out on the hunt for the most beautiful places. We also do work with local partners, so we can always make sure that everything is organized as it should be, and that we're also ready in case something happens, that we can navigate challenges quick and make sure everything is as it should be, so to say.
Hmm.
It really depends on the time zone where people are coming from as well. Um, how much are they going to work? Where are they coming from? Is this realistic in terms of budget for flights? What about visas? Especially, this is the thing when you're talking about remote companies, right? The talent may be from all across the globe. So these are really all things that we keep in mind, together also with the goals of the company. Like, some want to be active, some want to be more chill. One wants to go into proper sunshine, the other one wants to go skiing or do the craziest sports. So it really depends.
Yeah. Okay. So what I'm hearing you say also is that the workation is not necessarily only work.
No,
It's
I think,
not. It is about, of course, you go with your colleagues, so there will be a certain amount of work, but it's the primary goal is maybe or maybe not to get work done, but also to do other things in addition, to have experiences together.
yeah. So it can be quite kind of confusing when you look at it from an international level, because around the globe, a vocation may be seen more as something you do as an individual.
Hmm.
And then there's some groups going. Whereas in the Netherlands, I do think, and Germany as well, that's the defining name. We kind of use, yeah, it's also not really like a team retreat, right? It's a workation. You go to another place and you work there with your colleagues, um, in case of if you go with a company. Um, but obviously, is not something that we completely reinvented. There were always already company offsites or company retreats where people come together, where they may have a certain session, even around culture, alignment, inspiration, um, yeah, to change mindset, so on. So I think it's not new to that extent. It's just got a different sauce.
Yeah, yeah. Because I was about to say this. This is I've done pretty big bunch of offsites myself as an employee, by the way. So it's that in itself. It either was, yeah, we called it always a hey sessie. So in that sense, it's not new. But I think what is sort of newish is that destinations have changed because it's not just let's say I would go, let's say, from a workplace in Rotterdam to an offsite in Ede or close to Arnhem, which is in the same country. But yeah, we would go to a hotel, but that was just about it. But the workations that you organize are obviously in a different level.
Yeah, we're spoiled.
Yeah,
We're
yeah. But is
spoiled.
that about spoiling people, or is that about um, the making the change of scenery a bit bigger to enhance the quality of the outcome?
I think obviously climate, probably also value for money, and in special the complete change of scenery, culture, different impressions, different types of food, especially in Europe, right? You move a few hours into a different direction and voila, different country, different culture, different cuisine.
Absolutely. So, we've talked about the employer part of it. We talked about the employee part of it. It's obviously good to have a change of scenery, and to your point, different foods can be really delicious. Um, but for especially for investors in startups, it's sort of they want retention, they want speed of execution, they want low cost. How does a good workation fit into that? Because you
In a
talked about
startup,
talent
yeah,
attractions.
in a startup, there are obviously many moving parts, and yeah, it's super important that people feel connected, like they belong, they feel engaged, they feel productive. Obviously, that they can communicate with each other clearly, and also, yeah, really that moment of doing something together, because it is quite special that you're able to uh, hopefully achieve those goals. So that those people are seen as well in full alignment. And then obviously you can tie different KPIs to that. And I would obviously recommend to measure those throughout the whole year, so
Hmm.
that you can also see what changes or what really helps the company move further. Especially, I would say, in early days when people have on different hats or roles, and you do have that close culture.
Hmm.
You want to keep that, right? You want to keep those people close to you if they're still feeling comfortable in the role and where they are themselves as well. And then as the company starts growing, especially when they get investors and they're really increasing their headcount, this is where the company kind of starts going in split, right? And moves into little islands, and you get like these little subcultures. Um, and yeah, people are not as connected as in the beginning anymore. This is also why I love communities, because this is something that it's not just something for outside, it's also something within the community. And I think uh, digitalization plays a very important role in here, because you now actually do have that opportunity to bring those people together already. I mean, even sometimes if you're in a larger office and your office starts growing, if you're in different departments, yeah, maybe you're also not constantly meeting up. You can measure it through the data. Employees are actually happier. So
So it's employee NPS plays a role in here. What other KPIs? Can you give a few examples of what KPIs you can measure? There's number of people you can actually attract. Of course, there's retention. So attrition would be one, not
time to
customer, but
hire.
employee. Oh, okay. So tell me a bit about that. So how does it shorten time to hire? Does it make it easier for people to join a company if they know there are workations involved?
Yeah, so even obviously employer branding. I think employer branding is often misunderstood by companies. There is so much power in there.
Hmm.
And especially if you add a vocation or a retreat or something to that, that's where you're also humanizing your brand, right? And people kind of want to be a part of that energy as well. Something is happening there. And obviously, the company is also investing in them. So that definitely helps with a reduced time to hire, especially as a startup. You're really like battling, like how how do people know about the name of your company? Maybe you do not have all this money for extreme ad budgets, right? Because you're just starting out. But this is something that can help. And obviously, when they know you, you may even become top of mind for the right type of people. Potentially they're already applying even before you're looking. The same happened with us. Like I hired before I was hiring, because they came to me
Hmm.
and I saw a lot of potential in them. So I was like, okay, let's go. So it does really work. I've seen it in the data when I was still working at LinkedIn, but I've also seen it myself right now. And so I do think many more startups can benefit from that. Um, Probably also the cost to hire. If somebody comes in and finds you, it's a lot cheaper than working with recruiters, or even uh, w- what would be the cost if you don't do it right? What if somebody decides to leave because they do not feel connected or they do not feel appreciated? SHRM said that it can be like up to 2 times of their yearly salary. Well, if you hired someone with a lot of talent, and you just spend like at least 6 months to onboard them properly, or like really have them
Yeah,
taken in,
perform to their
running with
yeah to their
it,
best.
yeah, being a really great performer. I mean, a great performer was already 4 times more productive than the average, but in times of AI, that can be, I don't even know, it can be about 400 times more productive, so to say. Um, So yeah, I would definitely recommend to look at different things. Some people obviously may also measure their brand awareness. That's also another thing. You may even be able to tie customer satisfaction into it, right? If your employees are happy, you show up with a happy face. You can hear it in people's voices, even when they're calling online. Um, Potentially, if you set up a different narrative around the workation retreat or offsite, okay, which goals did we set? Did we actually achieve what we want to achieve? What kind of, even if you tie skills to it, okay, how can we measure this? How much personal growth do we see in the people? How are teams collaborating? How innovative are we as a company? Um, Diversion, including,
Yeah.
yeah, how do we measure on that scale?
Okay.
Maybe
Cool. Uh,
come with a few more later, but I think that were a fair few.
yeah. There's a lot to unpack already. So one question I still had, if I understand correctly, one of the main drivers for the workation is to improve culture in the broadest sense of the word. So improve work culture, collaboration, belonging, indeed, make people more innovative, make teams more innovative and more agile, perhaps also. Um, there's, I think, an sort of educational element to it in the sense that you can actually use that workation to upskill people or incentivize people to upskill people, right? So how does that tie in then to Leaderwave? Because that's a slightly different platform,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
it hinges sort of because of leadership also
Mhm.
on sort of the same elements, I would think. Or am I wrong?
Yeah. Yeah. It does tie into each other. It's still a baby, but I think it's like more uh yeah, focused towards like the entrepreneurial spirit.
Mhm,
And in terms of trends, like, okay, what's happening? We've always done this. If we understand what's going on,
mhm,
and how we can adapt to that and share that experience with other people, uh, potentially as a community collective, at some point we could go on a vacation or offsite together, and then those people know that they will benefit from that because they have found that value there and they already have been upskilling together. Um, so that's something towards the future as well. Right now, we're hosting local events and pop-up events, and um, and then obviously Driftawave is more company and team focused.
mhm.
So it does play a different role, but it's kind of like, okay, Leaderwave is kind of showing us where we're going, and then Driftawave translates it into the organization, so to say.
Okay, so let's talk about a couple of trends in terms of the future of work because there's AI. Do you use
Yes,
AI in your own business, like Driftwave or Leaderwave,
love
to
it.
actually execute?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's been incredible. So obviously, like the second it got available, I was having this GPT agent. or agent. It wasn't an agent. It's like you call it a GPT, right? Just save some information in there. And then that would help me so much. For example, writing blogs or like stuff that would used to take hours.
Hmm.
I think this also very much contributed for me being able to execute a lot on the side of my actual job.
Hmm.
Um, for Leaderwave, um, I was like, okay, you are driving experiments, stay in this mode, give it a go. And I tried like to vibe code this website, which also worked. And then obviously this tool is also developing, so I'm following up on that a lot. Um, and I made it a complete priority to continuously find out what's there. So there are tremendous image tools out there like Midjourney. Then obviously Google just launched what is it? Banana. um, and if you look at Runway, you can make the most incredible videos even out of those images. Like we literally now have Hollywood from wherever we have internet, we can operate. Even when I use tools like Adobe, I mean, I don't know if you've ever tried to remove a background pre AI. Yeah,
Yeah,
to be honest, like,
pre-AI, that was pretty until we
yeah,
had remove background .bg, then it became sort of better. But that was, I think, a sort of spin-off by Adobe, or at least it was made by people from Adobe who had the technology and then sort of used it.
yeah. And right now, one click lasso
Yeah,
gone.
yeah. In Canva, it's
Yeah, or Instagram, if you upload a few videos, boom, video. So it saves so much time. I don't want to do those things. I don't want to spend hours on editing. Though I do that when I make a proper video in like Premiere. I'm not the best skilled. But for example, then again, AI helps me when I don't know the answer. I have my AI tell me what to do when I'm vibe coding for the website even. I'm just gonna make it think that it's uh, that it's a developer or maybe UX designer. And for example, when something doesn't work out, I'm like, okay, get the CTO involved. And yeah, it just
mhm,
feels a little bit unreal. So I still start giggling. But I made OpenAI think that it was or ChatGPT think that it was a CTO. Then it
mhm,
got involved in the lovable chat. And it basically, like in a nice way, whooped his ass. And then it actually did the things that I wanted it to do. And I tried so many prompts and it wasn't working. So yeah, it's kind of a fun adventure in that way as well to figure out what works and what doesn't. Um, actually, a few days ago, I finally got access to my newest AI partner. So I answered a questionnaire of about 100 questions. And out of that, Christian Blaker, who invented this, he came up with a document that basically explains who I am. And then this document is embedded in Claude. And because he's super, like, um, he's very ethical as well. So he really moved from automations to an AI partner to kind of co-create. And I've been trialing this out over the past few days, and I am so surprised. Like I was a hardcore user of ChatGPT, and I have not touched my ChatGPT over the past few days. But I'm also finding out, like, apparently for some things, one thing is better, for other things, potentially another thing. And also, because these platforms are developing at such rapid speed, and some are better at different things, I do recommend experimenting. And I do think it's worth the investment because it is the future, right? So I continually try out new things that may be useful.
are these things also, let's say, themes or themes, let's call them that, that you suggest to guests? or to people who go on workations, like, hey, maybe you should discuss this, or maybe have develop a view on how you're going to embed AI in your organization?
So it really depends. I think it really, as an organization and obviously as teams, you really need to think about what you're trying to achieve and then how can AI help to achieve that, either driving experiments, getting an expert involved, have a have a coach potentially for change management. I mean, people are generally quite resistant to change. This is also why this provides a lot of opportunity for the younger generation, even though um, there are already less entry jobs, and there's more entry jobs being cut. But at the same time, these people are basically they already own these tools. So the second you give it to them with a certain type, task, or goal, like even look at social media at the time as well, and still now, they are able to run with it. Whereas potentially the older generation uh, it needs a little bit longer time to get used to new ways of working, pretty much unlearn the old way of working, while obviously also doing the job that they're doing. But I do also say, I think every generation, once people realize what it provides for them,
Hmm.
like even with tools like NHN to be able to like automate um, and even create with it. I mean, people today are building complete armies with agents.
Hmm.
Basically, they all have their own knowledge, but there's also tools. I heard about this one the other day. I haven't tried it out yet. It's called Little Bird. I love the name, and um, it's like a VA, like a virtual assistant on the roll, who just kind of follows you around in secret on your screen. Potentially, my most favorite brand out of the whole year meeting. So basically, whenever you see Ting in your email, then the agent goes to work, the AI, and then it checks the agenda of if both the people have meeting,
Hmm.
then they sort it out together. You don't have to do anything anymore, and the meeting just pops into your agenda. And
Oh, it's a bit
I
like a
just think,
meeting picker. Like we used to have this
yeah,
meeting picker thing that you would send out on WhatsApp, to plan a date, or to plan a get together with your friends. That type of
yeah,
technology,
you
but it would be agentic. So it would plug into your agenda and then choose the right time and
pops
space.
into
Oh,
your
that
calendar. It
yeah.
pops into your calendar. You just go like you CC. Apparently, I heard I was the first one to also add an external email address that was not involved because I have two email addresses. Um, and then that worked as well. Just got popped into my agenda. I was like, this is fascinating. This is amazing. Or obviously Whisper, so you can talk to your tools.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what else do we have? There are so many.
Can I ask you a question? Huh? Because there's a lot
Mhm,
of work being, let's say, replaced by AI now, so especially lower
mhm.
entry level jobs are replaced by AI mostly. How do you see that in relation to your future business case then? Is there then still a need for a workation, or is the scope of a workation then different? Let's say, is it more about the
Well,
connection and building culture rather than maybe getting work done?
actually not too worried about that because if people become founders, they obviously want to meet with other founders. So we can connect them and help them to uplift each other. Um,
Hmm.
there will be a lot more growth in smaller companies. And obviously, this can be an amazing opportunity for those smaller companies to get to know each other, like we discussed before. And then the bigger companies, I do genuinely believe there will still be bigger companies, but they will, and they already are starting to cut to become more efficient. Because if your competitor does so, you kind of need to you want to be ahead of your competitor, ideally, right? Not running after the facts. So yeah, that does make me a bit sad. Like, actually, not too long ago, I got a message from one of my colleagues that this person actually lost their job during the last redundancy. And I know this person is super, 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 super talented. So I'm not worried about him. But yeah, this is obviously just becoming a more common phenomenon, so to say. But I would highly encourage those people to take advantage of this new technology. And maybe that is a great time to find out what exciting startups are there and that are AI native. So that because this is like a super big advantage that smaller companies have today, right? Because older companies, they are hanging in their old systems and their ways of working. Whereas as a startup, you have the opportunity to completely reimagine what it's going to look like. So, um, you may set up like a center brain, like a digital brain of your organization, and
Hmm.
then you save the information in there. And then you're going to connect all the different types of tooling that you have together with your vision and your brand and where you want to go. And you can kind of create like this whole system that kind of loops together and is focused to then drive more value to your clients or do the things right, make the customer journey better aligned,
Hmm.
but also, for example, onboarding, offboarding, and that type of things. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to switch gears a bit, go back actually to a remark you had earlier on diversity and inclusion, that it also these workation can also contribute to a feeling of belonging, especially that you feel that you belong to a certain team. So um, what I've learned is that many women in especially in remote and hybrid environments feel a bit invisible. So how can let's say good offsite retreats help them become more visible, feel more belonging, and also, as a result of that, have the trust in themselves to step into bigger roles?
Yeah, it really depends how you design those moments. If that is one of your goals, you probably want to focus on where people can actually have shared experiences and realize they are not different and they then feel comfortable because they have bonded and gone through an experience. But also, you can potentially do like a coaching session where people actually share their vulnerabilities or like challenges that they have, and like really, really open up because that's when we connect to each other as human. Also, I'm quite let's say, I'm an outspoken woman. So, regardless of uh, online, offline, actually, I think I was more present in like um, the official office setting than remote, um, because I'm a very extroverted person.
Hmm.
Um, but I do always recommend women to stand up for themselves, like reach out to that person that's further ahead. Even I come from a sales background, right? This is where I learned a lot by asking questions like, where is that person coming from? And that is also, that's a two-way road as well, right? There's one thing that you can like obviously show what you're doing and actively get out there,
Hmm.
or potentially these women could uh, they could set certain goals for themselves, right? Like, okay, uh, this is where I want to go. Who do I then would like to connect with? Even to break down the silos, right? I mean, there are organizations that are organizing this, but you could also take initiative yourself and schedule a meeting with a colleague that you maybe have not spoken before, or potentially there's some sort of initiative from within the company that when talent is in the same area, that they can actually meet up together. Um, so yeah, I think there should be initiative and intentional design from the organization, and then as a person, regardless of female or male, they can take initiative, but also it's important like that it is actually embedded within your culture. This is something I really, really loved about LinkedIn. Like it was very much centered around inclusion and belonging. Um, so yeah, that's also how everything is designed around it. And yeah, I've made lifelong friends there for sure.
Yeah. Did it help you to work in that environment to develop as a person?
100% because I I defy the traditional career path, right? So I've been a pretty much like um, it's like a hotel manager on the water.
Hmm.
Um, I've been a travel consultant where I've even been offered to become a manager, but I had a different plan. And then to come in a surrounding with people that also like kind of like felt this, yeah, like a growth mindset, but also kind of like this inner curiosity to like find out more things or like consistently improve. That's definitely something that's amazing. Like I have so many friends, ex-colleagues now who are all working at all these incredible different companies as well that are achieving all these incredible, amazing things. So we can do what we do today. Like for example, just earlier I was popping over a message to my friend Yota, who actually works for Gong, which is a sales tool that remote teams can use, which also has AI in it, so you can improve and learn. Yeah, so it's been a life changer, and also for me personally, obviously, it was a different way of working. There were different types of learning. It was literally like doing an MBA on the payroll.
Okay. So how did you uh just picking your brain here, how did you transition, because you come from quite a different work environment, being a sort of hotel manager on the sea, to
Yeah,
a really, well, let's say, at least quite structured corporate organization. Was that challenging for you?
different. I think, to be honest, in all honesty, that job on board is the craziest job I've ever had. I would start at 7 in the morning. I would finish at 10 at night, 5 days in a row, 3 days off. And you're responsible for so many different things, for the hotel rooms, the kitchen, the restaurant, breakfast, lunch, dinner. People go diving in between, the bar. Then there's laundry, cleaning, porting to the office. So those are a lot of things that you're managing. Then something that I really learned, like even like next level during my role at LinkedIn, is like really understanding the company of the client, like and the goals where they want to go, but also like managing the stakeholders internally. So I came from a sales background, and then tech sales was the next level. So it was different in a way. Um, that it's something that's like has a lot more impact, is more expensive, it probably has more stakeholders involved than maybe two friends going out on the reef for a trip, come back, and that's it, like lifelong gratitude. But obviously this tool may be helping them to find the right talent and so on. So it was really like a mindset shift in that way. I was like, okay, what are their challenges, what is the type of ROI that is going to benefit them, what are they looking for, and then really lead with value, and basically become like a trusted advisor to your clients.
Okay. So one thing, when we spoke before, you told me one thing you do in every conversation, which I found like really powerful, which is to ask, how can I help? How does
Yeah.
that how does that help you a develop a bond of trust, but also yeah, let's start with the trust part. How does it help there?
Yeah, yeah. So I do think you want to try and do it in some like organic way, right? Like in a flow, like not feeling enforced. Uh, but very often there are different ways how we can help other people, which are often underestimated. Another person, maybe it can even be a course recommendation, an intro to someone else, anything you can think of. I've received so much help from people like obviously lifting my company, that I'm so grateful. I wouldn't know how I would have done it without them, so to say. You probably find a way, but still, it's easier to get help from someone who has been there. And yeah, it's even led me to get invited um, after some smart questions as well, because I did my research after a podcast, and then by asking that question and asking information about um, these events, I actually ended up getting invited to a breakfast with business leaders. And then in another country for another event, I got invited for their business leader cocktails, where there's also investors walking around and other interesting people who you can connect with and really, really bond. And really love that. I think it's also like a way of maybe even by saying so, you're opening yourself up to different things as well. Because sometimes if you ask that to some person, you never know what they're going to answer, right? You never know.
No, that is true. But how do you do that organically, especially at the start of a relationship when you don't know someone that well?
I think like coming from a good heart, a positive place, like a place of generous curiosity. And then if you maybe later on get to know that person and you kind of know what they're looking for. Like, for example, yesterday, I asked someone um, who had left a certain company that I want to partner with. And then this other person told me, like, okay, stick with this person. And I was like, "Ooh, I ran out of connections. Could you maybe give me a warm intro?" And I think I'm not sure whichever reason, and obviously I'll find my way. And maybe that person already popped a message on the back door. But so instantly, I got the right person with the right name in that organization. I could refer to this person that I've already been touching base with several times and we're vibing. Um, and then instantly got picked up when I sent a message out like, I got the right link. Immediately there was said like, okay, I'll pop it forward to the right person that is in charge of this. And like I could have gone through the front door and trying to figure it out by myself. But then I didn't, for example, in this case, I didn't really ask him, like, how can I help you? I just know, okay, this person is very AI savvy. I'll just pop over some new tools that I've learned about, which I think are epic. And then that person is happy as well, right? So it's kind of like give and take, and obviously as the relationship goes further, you get to know each other better, and
Yeah.
I don't know, you kind of become partners in crime. Like, why
No,
not?
but
Conversation going.
that's what I meant to say. If you know a person a bit better, you know the preferences a bit, you know how that person is connected. So it's sort of easier to even just throw in the help tool yourself. But I'm wondering more about the initial conversation. Does that take preparation and really looking like preparing uh, to be able to give that answer to the question, how can I help yourself?
I think if people struggle with that, I would really try to like train it so it becomes more natural,
Hmm.
and I realize that is not that scary. Like the world has not built by one person. There's like if you build a building, a house, how many people are there involved? And not even just the people building it. Think about all the materials that you need to build that house, or the person who designed it. Well, they have been speaking with each other. They've been helping each other and collaborating. So maybe it's like, maybe that helps uh, like a mindset shift, that everybody is receiving help, and other people are, for example, maybe also helping you. So potentially there's also a way of being able to give back. Even when someone, let's say somebody finds it scary because somebody has a higher position than them. Maybe they're the type of founder that they want to be, but they're still in corporate. Or maybe um, the person is like, even C-level, let's say C-level at a company you really admire. You kind of like, by asking that question, or even you can even start an intro with it, like coming genuine and ask questions and say what you appreciate. There may always be something, like maybe understanding, or maybe this founder wants to hire a certain type of people, or have a little bit more understanding of your market, or maybe they want to try and diversify and speak with people that are within your pool, or yeah, there's so many different ways. Potentially, even that CEO, HR leader at this company that you truly admire. Um, Maybe you can also help this person, maybe even a new AI tool, or something that makes their work easier. Technically, like almost like sales, but coming from a good heart, because maybe you're not
Yeah.
even selling. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just, there's so many different ways. And once you start doing that, you have that mindset shift. It becomes a normal, natural thing, and you realize the value.
Yeah. That for sure. That I can absolutely agree with. So I need some help. So I'm just going to ask for it.
Okay.
So my goal is to close the funding gap between male founders and female founders in tech. Um, what is one action you would recommend I take to get there?
One recommendation. Well, first of all, keep going. Scream louder. I'm in shock that is still at 2% because it hasn't changed, even though I've seen incredible initiatives. Um, I would definitely encourage sharing also information about um, that female founders are actually super successful. That's why it surprises me so much. The data does not lie. Um, Maybe I can help you to connect you to another person that you could maybe get on a podcast, if there's like a certain type of person that you'd love to speak with.
Those recommendations are always really welcome.
Okay, perfect. Let's do that.
So let's do that. So Gina Schinkel, thank you very much for an amazing conversation. We covered a lot of ground from leadership to offsites to building a culture to belonging, and I want to thank you for that. Also for the practical tips you shared. If people want to learn more about Driftawave or Leaderwave or connect with you, where would you like to send them?
Stalk me on LinkedIn. Love to connect.
Okay.
um, yeah, we also have the company page there as well. We have our websites. We have um, profiles on Instagram. So definitely encourage to check it out. And I will share the links with you so you can add it to the recording.
Yeah, to the show notes, which we will do, of course. Gina, thank you very much for an amazing conversation. Listeners, thank you very much for listening. And until the next episode, keep being awesome. Well, that's it for episode 129 of Women Disrupting Tech, titled The Power of Workations and Generous Leadership with Gina Schinkel. Gina and I thank you for listening, and we hope that you found our conversation as inspiring and unconventional as we intended it to be. And if you have any questions for Gina, please share them in the comments on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. When you want to connect with Gina and learn more about her companies Driftawave and Leaderwave, please check out the links in the show notes. As usual, you can find the show notes at womendisruptingtech.blog and you'll find the link in the captions. There you can also find more information about the Embrace Health event that I mentioned in the intro. During the episode, Gina also mentions that she is experimenting with an AI personal assistant. If you'd like to learn more about that, you can connect with Gina or with me. If you've enjoyed listening to this episode, please consider giving us a rating or a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Leaving a rating or a review helps new listeners find the podcast and supports my guest by giving them a bigger platform. If you're not already following us, please make sure to follow Women Disrupting Tech on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, or YouTube. By following, you support Gina and my other guests in closing the funding gap by the end of 2032. If you'd like to learn more about Women Disrupting Tech, please follow the podcast on social media. You can find us everywhere as @WomenDisruptingTech, and you can also find us on Substack. On Substack, you'll find in-depth stories and behind-the-scenes insight from each episode, plus trends that I've spotted across 129 conversations. So don't forget to subscribe to Women Disrupting Tech on Substack. Finally, if you want to connect with me directly, please reach out via email dirkjan@womendisruptingtech.blog or connect with me on LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, just search for my name and you'll find me. With that, I wish you a wonderful day. I hope to see you in the next episode. And until then, as always, keep being awesome.